What's going on, guys? Doug with Eden Lawn Services. Hey, we got something in the mail today, and this is something that I've been needing to do for quite a while. It's for the Dixon, and I got it because at times I haven't been using the Dixon because I didn't have it. So I've been using the Scag, which is a 36 and smaller, so it's taken longer to do some of the properties. So this should help in speeding up things a little bit on some properties and just make my business more efficient. So, and boom, there you go. An advanced chute system. OCDC, chute blocker, whatever you want to call it. It is going to cover my deck hole so I don't blow grass clippings into the dang flower beds and then later have to blow it back out. It's a pain in the butt. So let's do an unboxing and see what we got here. We'll install this thing. All right, let's open it up. So you guys know I have the grass flap on the Scag, and I love that grass flap, man, for hand-operated controls. You just hit it with your foot. You don't even have to slow down with your hand. It's nice. But this is the seated position. It's a little easier to manipulate a lever because it's easier. Let's see what's in it. Hey, just FYI, guys, I ordered this on Wednesday and it's Friday. It got here in 2 days. Crazy fast shipment. So props to them for that. Advanced chute system. Okay. Lots of nuts and bolts. Destructions. Cool. One bona fide lever. A mount bracket. Sweet. Nice and thick, heavy duty. A bag of hardware, spacers, bolts, springs, some popping material. You gotta pop them, right? And the flap. Advanced chute system flap. Now, I'm telling you right now, and we knew this going in. Look at the size of my discharge chute. Look at that flap. It is way too big. We know that. But that's because this is a baby Dixon, man. It's only a 44-inch deck, tri-blade. Has a smaller discharge chute. I knew it was going to be way too big going on, but as long as we can get it to fit, we'll be good to go. Good to go. And then, we're trying to, for those that follow along, we're trying to nurse this along for another season, and then it's going to go into backup mode. So, the next mower I get, we can just swap this over if we need to. But anyways, let's get after it.
All right, guys, rather than listen to me mumble and try to figure things out for an hour, I figured I'd just do a voiceover. You can see I've got the mount bracket attached to the OCDC, and in between there on the pivots, you can see me pointing at them, there's neoprene washers to keep things moving right along, sliding, not binding up. And I'm now attaching the arm, the lever, if you will. And I'm going through the instructions and reading it here and trying to figure it all out. You guys got to remember, I've never installed one of these before, so this is all new to me as well. But there's two holes there that the bolt can go through, and I had to figure out which one for it to go through, and I did. And then, you just turn the nut on there, and it's a long bolt. Doesn't look like it's going to fit, but it's for what the spring hooks to later. Here I'm just another neoprene washer and the big nut to hold the lever on. And now I'm kind of sitting it on the deck and I'm eyeballing it, trying to figure out where I'm going to mount it. And I'd like to move it in the back like that, but I'm having some issues with contact on the lever. And so I'm just kind of moving things around, trying to figure out where it's all going to fit. I did have to shim it up higher, so the bottom of the OCDC was even with the back of the deck. And you can see I got some contact right up there on my deck height system. So I'm going, oh no, now what do we do? We have to kind of figure it out here, what we're going to do. And I ended up just having to move it forward, and that's not where I wanted it to sit, but that's where it fit. So we moved it up there to where it could get around my height adjust on my deck, and I put some spacers underneath of it that come with the kit, and get her all sitting where she's supposed to. That way we can figure out where we're going to drill the holes. So we're kind of just, like I said, we're doing a mock-up, getting things figured out, how we're going to do it here. A lot of eyeballing, make sure we don't have any interference with anything. And see, you can see the arm right there, the lever. It's hitting the lever from my height kit, and I'm like, doggone it, what am I going to do? So, or excuse me, my deck height arm. So, anyways, we're working on it. We're eyeballing it. We're talking about it to ourselves, and we're figuring it all out. And yeah, so now we kind of got it all semi-situated where we think we need it to be, where it's going to fit. And well, there you again. See, I moved it back, and I got interference, and I'm scratching my head here a little bit. And then I moved it forward, and you can see I'm now in front. And yep, that's where it's going to have to go. I just didn't want it to go there, but that's where it has to fit. It has to go there to fit. So here we are. We're trying to mark the holes, I think, to drill the deck. And there's 3 bolts that you have to drill the holes for, and the most forward bolt was right at the front of the deck for me. I mean, there was no more room to fit the head of the bolt underneath there. So, all right, well, here we go. Let's drill holes in this deck. This deck has not had a hole drilled in it since it was brand new. Man, I hated doing this, but that's okay. You know, we got her done. So I'm drilling pilot holes. I think it was a 5/16, and then we're going to finish it off with a, no, it was a 1/8, and then we're finishing it off with a 3/8. So putting holes in the deck. Doggone it, really didn't want to do that, but oh well. We had to do that to mount the bracket. All right, so we got a hole in it. Let's bolt this thing up here and kind of figure out. We got 1 hole drilled. Now we need to drill 2 more holes, but we need to get a location on them. So we're just kind of sticking everything together, and again, figuring it all out how it needs to go together. You know, sometimes you just got to sit back and look at things, make sure you're going to do it the right way to get it right. You know what I mean? So, all right, well, we're just kind of tightening things down, and everything on here is pretty much just finger tight until I know it's set perfect, and then we'll tighten everything down and adjust later. Looks like to be a little bit long-winded nut there. Oh well. Okay, so we got 1 down. We're marking the location for the second one in the back, and we're going to poke another hole right in my fancy, never been drilled in deck. Oh well. Again, a pilot hole, and then we'll finish out to the finished size, which again is 3/8. And that way we can get it semi-mounted. Then there's a 3rd hole coming up in the middle of the deck. Wanted 3 bolts in there to hold it on nice and secure. All right, well, continuing on here, we're just trying to get everything mocked up, bolted up, get this thing on here. Overall, the whole process took me about an hour to do, from the unboxing to a completed product. It wasn't too bad. The instructions, a little vague. Not too bad, though. They do have online videos, and the videos were a little dated, as in like maybe a previous system, but it was close enough to get you through. All right, and then we got the, we went and got the impact gun. We're going to kind of stitch things up, make it a little easier. Guys, you are not supposed to use an impact gun on nylox, and this is all nylox, but I did just to put it together. So now we got 2 bolted up, that's semi-rigid. We can now get it to a point where some minor adjustments are need to be made, and we still have that third hole to drill, so we're figuring this all out again. Yeah, and I'm looking to make sure that, you can see I'm tapping on it to make sure that that OCDC flap there, it just shuts right flush with the deck. That's what we're looking for. No gaps. And we have one more hole to drill here. I think we're getting up on it. Yeah, maybe I'm just doing some minor adjustments to make sure we get the hole in the right spot. Yeah, see, now we're getting a eagle's eye view of where we need to put this last hole, and kind of adjusting things. Make sure everything's perfect, man. You know, if you're gonna do it right. Don't mess around and do it part way. You'll regret it later. Man, see, and you can see I adjusted this thing several times just to make sure that it was sitting flush with the deck. And you can see here I got a rubbing issue with the cam. I guess you want to call it the lever that opens the thing. There's a rubbing issue on the mount, and I see it in that right there, and I'm like, something's not right with that. But let's just continue on, and we'll do some adjustments later. You can see here I'm tightening down the retaining nut that holds the arm onto the mount. Got that all set where it needs to be. Doing some mock driving, if you will, to see if I have any contact issues. Make sure it's right where I want it. You can see I'm right so close to that deck height arm there, but we'll fix that here in just a few minutes. I'm just trying to make sure that that out in the field, everything's going to work like it's supposed to. All right, well, it's time for some minor adjustments. I kind of pulled on that arm a little bit, but you can, in a bit here, I'm going to pull on it a little harder. All right, we're going to get the last hole in here, the third one. Again, sticking another hole in my deck, dang it, but that's all right. There it goes. There's the last hole. We're getting the appropriate spacers, taking a look at everything, getting it all to fit. It's kind of hard to see underneath there a little bit sometimes, but we get it all put together. Let's knock her down tight. It's already set in position because we adjusted the other two before. And yep, everything looks good. Let's make sure everything's last final tightening for the mount. Yep, there we go, all three of them tight. Double checking to make sure nothing moved. And we're good to go pretty much at this point. I think we're, yep, putting the spring on right here. Gonna put the spring on that thing. Used a pair of vice grips, clamped onto it. Pulled her tight, stuck her in the hole. It was pretty easy. Now we have spring assist. I'm still, you can see me, I'm looking at that clearance on that deck height lever, and I'm like, I'm not liking that, but we'll figure it out. All right, you can see I'm making some minor adjustments. Tightening up nuts for the neoprene washers and all the spring arm and the lever and everything, just making sure it's perfect and nothing's over tightened, because it's over tightened, it's not going to work. You have to have it almost loose to where you can almost turn the nut by hand. And again, that lever is rubbing on that mount there, and I'm like, what in the heck? But we'll fix that in just a minute. See, I'm just going through these nuts, make sure everything's just where it needs to be so it moves nice and smoothly with no issues. This is my kind of my final adjustments to make sure everything's right. You can see I'm being pretty particular here, just making sure that everything is just the way I want it. There we go. See that? We put some bend on that lever there. We moved it forward about a ½ an inch just to clear that deck height adjustment arm. And then the last thing I did here was I was like, wait a second, this is not quite right. See, now I'm smacking that thing. It was welded a little crooked, and I straightened it out. When I straightened that thing out, the whole thing moves so much more smoothly, so much more easily. It was like it's supposed to be. So that little lever arm on the end of the handle was welded crooked and it was rubbing. So we got her fixed now. No more rubbing. All right, a little more mock driving, you know. Nothing like doing 9 miles an hour in your garage, acting like you know what you're doing here, throwing the chute open. All right, you can see I'm looking at that and I'm going, that arm sticks out a little ways longer than a little further than I want. It was beyond verticals, actually sticking out away from the mower. And we're getting ready to rectify that here in just a minute. So we are going to, there you go, we're going to use a little body weight and do some pushing. And guess what? It bent right up, made it vertical. And yeah, now it's in the position that I like. It does have a little give to it. You can bend those. I didn't bend it far, maybe an inch, inch and a half, but it is to the point now where I thought it needs to be, and it's not sticking out beyond the side of the deck. I'm still a little concerned with that clearance, but I think we'll be okay. And I can also do a little pushing on it to bend it later if I need to.
All right, guys, there you go. Installed. I had to do a little thinking there, a little adjusting, making things fit just perfect. I think we got it adjusted. It is flush with the bottom of the deck and flush with the deck, so there's no gaps in the front. There is a gap in the back, but that's because that's the way the deck was built. There's a little gap in there. Looks like it's about 3/8 of an inch. So we'll see if we get too much blowback up here. If we do, I will plug that gap up with something. But we'll give it a try first and see how it works. Not so hard. It was a pretty straightforward install. I didn't like drilling the holes in the deck, but it needed to be done. I'm not going to be like scraping around 3 more bolts on the deck. You know how much of a pain that is. But it is right by the chute opening, so it shouldn't affect us much. Easy to get to. I did have it, you notice I have it spaced up pretty high to get it to fit. And I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It is big. I mean big. Shoot, this could fit on a 72, I'm sure. That is one big chute blocker. A little bigger than I anticipated, but it's okay. Couple things I got concerns about. It does overhang about 1.5 inches off the deck, which is fine. I have some gates that I can get through just barely with this 48-inch deck gate. So we'll be okay with it closed. Open, yeah, we got a problem. It sticks way out. I was hoping it would be vertical, and it is not vertical. I mean, it hangs out quite a ways. Probably a good 6 inches or so. But we'll just have to get through the gates that way. I will have to unbolt this and remove it to put my blower assist on, which is no big deal because it only goes on in the fall and the spring. The rest of the summer it's off, so we will have to remove this at that time. You did see in the video where I did some minor adjustments on the handle here, and this arm was welded crooked, and it was rubbing really hard against here. A couple whacks with the hammer, got some clearance now. Now it doesn't rub; it's free to move. And then the handle, I bent it that way just a little bit, and that way just a little bit, because it was sticking out. I didn't like that. We bent it forward to clear here. We been an N, so now it's vertical. So there you go, guys. Installation of the Advanced Chute Systems, Advanced Chute System, OCDC. So far, seems to be okay. Let's give it a try and see how it goes when we get some mowing. I don't have any mowing today, so we're done. But so far so good. I just wish it wasn't so big. See you guys.